continue being a basic bitch, then just say at the beginning of each of your videos, I'm spreading the message of equality. I'm going to wrap up this video with a phrase that most logical people can get behind. I mentioned it earlier in the video, and that is, it's either all okay or none of it's okay. It's important to remember if you ever mistakenly identify a word as off limits. No words are off limits. You're allowed to get offended by the words and say, oh, I didn't like that very much. But for you to come at the person and say, you're a bad person for saying this, you're racist for saying this. At the end of the day, everything's a choice. Black people can choose to get offended by black slurs. Asian people can choose to get offended by Asian slurs. White people can choose to get offended by black slurs. At the end of the day, it seems like white people are really just trying to make up for all of the torment that we've inflicted on black people. Well, keep at your crusade. I'm going to continue to act like they're normal human beings.
Welcome into the Clear as Mud Podcast. I'm your host, Riveter, joined today by none other than the potassium grabber himself, aka Sexy Boy, aka I want to get you to like my Instagram post, Banana Grabber.
AKA Ball Bro Rising.
Ball Bro Rising,
Yeah. Potassium helps with cramps, by the way. Eat your bananas.
Eat bananas. So does pickle juice. But anyway.
Fuck pickles. I ain't eating your fucking pickles, dude.
All right.
Banana man.
All right.
They're both weirdly enough phallically shaped, but they do the same thing. So.
Exactly. Oh, mate. So, banana.
My right leg is cramping, but Matt Pitt says my right leg is cramping. Oh, wait. I got him. The fucking amputee extraordinaire. Anyways, banana what? Sorry.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Nothing matters anymore. We're giving up, guys. Today's the episode. We're submitting defeat to the state-sponsored media. They've won. We can't say words anymore. So.
Words. Yeah.
Why can't we say certain words? I mean, come on.
Well,
there's a reason.
Based iDubbbz opened us up this evening. Yeah. Mr. Red Pill himself, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking today about Joe Rogan. Mm-hmm. We're going to be talking about the whole shit show, how they, they've been trying to cancel Joe Rogan since Joe Rogan joined Spotify. Okay, and we're going to show you why. And when their tactics didn't work, they just kind of started moving the goalpost. So, but before we get into that, we wanted to make you guys aware of something, and also hoping that by making you guys aware of this, that it would encourage you to not just us, but other small YouTubers, small streamers, so forth, to really support them and share their content. Okay. This was brought to us by one of our loyal viewers. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Banana. So, Banana, go ahead and share and tell our viewers about this show, or about this story, rather.
Nice to see you, Nerdy John 2.0. All the people that are in the chat, or TO2, sorry. All the people that are in the chat, welcome to the show. We have a viewer news section. If you go into the Discord, also like and subscribe to the channel. But also, if you go into the description, there's a Discord. You can either call into the show, and there's also a viewer news tab. If you submit stories like this one, we can cover them on the show. So, anyways, if you have something you think you'd want us to talk about, Anime Chris sent this one in, and it's a account named Chris Minahan, InfoLib News. saying new YouTube censorship scheme just dropped. And what it is a screenshot of a video being unavailable. It says this video is popular due to limited creator history. We're limiting the number of viewers subscribed to this channel to help creator reach a broader audience. So it appears they're limiting viewership based off of what exactly?
Yeah.
It's not having a verified subscriber count, I guess. But my thoughts on
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say my thoughts on this were whenever I saw this, it's just another iteration of the type of channeling the narrative that Twitter initially was like the forefront of. So back in the 2020 election or 2019 election, 2020 election, you saw Twitter taking unprecedented steps in curtailing a narrative or curtailing info being consumed by the public. So they would pick and choose certain articles that may or may not have been verifiable, and said this is fake news. Here's a more accurate, newsworthy or scholarly article. And what it actually ended up looking like from the outside perspective is they're crafting a narrative for the public to consume, as opposed to seeing a broader source of information and choosing for themselves what is actually happening in society. This just seems like the same thing with YouTube. YouTube is just going to pick and choose seemingly arbitrarily, but there's kind of a bias you can point out, based off of ideological lines. So they have an ideological bent position, and anybody that crosses that, you've seen it with the COVID takes early on in the year, people that were saying things like China, the virus came out of Wuhan, a lab in Wuhan, and there was gain of function research funded by the US government. Lo and behold, some of that was by Dr. Fauci himself. Stuff like that would have gotten you outright banned and your videos taken down. But now it's not a debatable issue. So we've got a clear inconsistency, and for what reason? And my belief is to craft a public narrative that is consumed. So if you control the flow of information in one direction, the people that are viewing it have this perceived idea that they're choosing, what they believe, when really it's just being filtered into one channel. Does that make sense?
100%. Another really good case in point is right now, there is a large protest that's going on in our neighbors to the north, and these truck drivers, and they're protesting over the mandate of them having to have the vaccine to be able to do their jobs, to be able to deliver consumer goods and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And they're small, independent journalists, people on the street type thing, that citizen journalists, exactly, that are going out and doing live feeds, because you have the media presenting a very biased view of what's going on. Violence. Has there been some violence? Yes. Okay. Has there been some? But that's all they're saying. They're showing, and they're not showing the other side of it. That's strictly peaceful, and people coming together and clamoring for a right to be able to do their jobs without government mandates and forcing something into their bodies that they don't agree with. And
as we said on the show before, like there's a big difference between immunization and vaccine mandating. Yeah, very big, and especially when one's a new technology.
Yeah, and it's so anyway. With that being said, just be aware of that YouTube is actively suppressing small content creators, especially if they're putting forth a view or putting forth something that goes contrarian to what is being manifested by the mainstream media. That's all.
Right. I would say corporate media. I'm very fond of Michael Malice's coining the phrase corporate media. Yeah. Also, in not to jump the gun a little bit here, but I just want to let the audience know, today we are going to be showing clips of media that have very, very, very offensive words. So if you're somebody, including racial slurs, for context into today's story. So if you're somebody who is sensitive to hearing things that are offensive, today's show might not be for you. Maybe sit this one out and join us next time. We'll be happy to see you then.
100%.
Trigger warning.
We're going to hear words, we're going to hear phrases that could be offensive to people, and we do not want to offend anybody. That's not our. We want to provoke you. We want to cause thought. We want to.
Well, to give context to the story today, we have to illustrate a broader point, and to do that, we have to risk offending our audience.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like it's important to give the evidence and context as to what is happening in the world today. Yeah. We're not going to fucking cherry pick information based on your sensibilities. We're going to try to, have you think about things critically.
Yeah, 100%. So, with that being said, let's just dive right into this, okay? And we're going to start at the very beginning, guys. And the very beginning is that let me get all my notes up here because there's a lot of stuff here, a lot of dates.
Oh, God, yeah.
So, in September 1st of 2020, okay, 2020.
Which feels like 20 years ago. But
yes.
So, with the news cycle.
Spotify signed a deal with Joe Rogan to bring his entire catalog dating back 11 years of podcast over into Spotify, right? And it was a $100 million deal that he signed with Spotify, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when this happened, I mean, people were like just in awe that this kind of a deal had been reached, and people whatever. But not everybody was happy. Not everybody was
the quartering.
Huh?
I'm saying the quartering is one of those people.
Was
I was just interjecting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he posted a bunch of videos saying like Joe Rogan sold out to Spotify. He said no episodes would be removed, but they took off some of the Milo Yiannopoulos and stuff like that.
Okay. So anyway, he signed a deal. This was on September anyway, he didn't sign it on September the 1st, but he signed it, I think, actually like in January or something like that.
Right.
But anyway, the first of the year rather, but it was supposed to go live on Spotify September the 1st. I misspoke there. I want to correct myself. Okay. But there were employees at Spotify, okay, who were not happy about this, and they were demanding that they have the ability to censor, to edit, and in some cases completely totally remove. Now, my understanding, and from reading the articles and stuff, was that they were not going to retain any type of censorship abilities over the podcast. Joe said that basically the podcast would be put on there in its entirety. No censorship, no editing, no nothing. However, that's not what happened.
Right.
There were some podcasts that were not brought over to Spotify. Okay. The entire episodes that were not brought over, like you mentioned, there was the ones with
Milo, Alex Jones,
yes, okay,
Gavin McInnes,
okay, yes, and there was some controversial issues.
But they were left on YouTube, which was kind of like what Joe was trying to say, but people were still pissed about it. So, and maybe understandably so,
Okay, so anyway, they were not happy about it. Okay, they were. When I say the editors, the employees, they still weren't happy with, even though what they still were raising Cain. Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. COVID hits. Okay, so COVID hits, and we are inundated as a planet. We were inundated with information. And some might even say information overload. And the information kept, every time you turned on the news, the goalposts kept moving as far as what was the objective, what was obtainable, what was not obtainable, what we had to do, what we didn't need to do. It just, if you did this, then you didn't have to do this. And anyway, I say all that to say this, that it was confusing. Right. So,
for sure. So I think it was designed that way, but that's the whole.
And it may very well be okay. Yeah. So then, this was very well known. Joe Rogan comes out. He he caught COVID. And so, Joe Rogan went to his medical doctor. His medical doctor prescribed a slew of medications, one of them being ivermectin, which was a drug that was at a point of contention among the medical field, the medical field as a whole, as far as...
Before COVID happened, it was not. It's something that is regularly used as an antiviral?
Antifungal parasitic type medicine. That was used.
There was no controversy.
No.
Until Trump mentioned it. Was it Trump that mentioned it?
Yes, it was. Yes, President Trump originated, but it was used.
I'm thinking of hydroxychloroquine. Never mind.
And so, anyway.
Why did people get so pissed off about ivermectin? That's actually a good question. I really don't know.
It was. It was actually ivermectin was actually an award-winning medication. It was the creators of ivermectin won a lot of acclaim and awards because of its effectiveness in treating things. Joe Rogan's doctor said, "Hey, take this medication." And it okay. CNN comes out and puts out this whole thing about how Joe Rogan was taking horse dewormer.
Yeah. They're saying, like all the other like rednecks that bought it on Amazon or something. They're taking stuff that's meant for animals. It's it's a little intellectual. No, it's not a little. It's actually outright lying. But
yes. And so Joe Rogan brings on CNN's chief medical advisor. They have a conversation. Joe presents and the doctor says, well, okay, you were receiving that. That was human. They should not have said that. The very next day, CNN, specifically on Don Lemon's show, brings the doctor on there. And
like he had a gun behind his back.
And went right back after him again. Okay, so they have been going after Joe Rogan. We've had people on the actual YouTube side of things that have went after Joe Rogan because of this, aka Ethan Klein. They've had, we've documented some of that, the beef.
He's basically a mainstay on our channel now. So.
Yeah. He went after Joe Rogan and went after him about his, the whole, health and all this stems from the fact that some have alleged that it stems from the fact that Ethan had tried to reach out to Joe Rogan to do a collaboration, and Joe Rogan basically left him on red, and Ethan kind of went into
his ego couldn't handle the snub.
Yeah, he couldn't handle the snub, and so anyway, from the day that Joe Rogan went on Spotify, they have been trying to do everything they can to lessen his reach, to minimize his platform, and to just silence him. There's no other way to put it. They're trying to silence him. Now, so they tried all these other tactics and stuff. They tried the COVID situation, and finally they got enough pressure on Spotify where Spotify said, okay, listen, trying to appease the rebel rousers out there, and said, listen, we will put a warning banner on any artist that covered COVID with a link to the prescribed, accepted CDC informational, pages concerning COVID, which is, if you go on YouTube, like I'm sure today's video, we come back, look at the VOD, or even hell, it may even have it now, who knows? It's going to have a warning banner, I'm sure, down there at the bottom of it saying something along the lines of,
if you want accurate information, go to cdc.net.
Yes, because although we're not giving you any type of information contrary, we're just saying this is stuff that's been discussed. This is what happened. Okay, we're not sitting there saying to do anything contrary to anything. We're not giving opinions about this. We're just saying this is what's happened. This is what was stated. This was the rebuttal, and so on and so forth. That's all we're trying to do today. Okay, so then that didn't work. Right, so even though Spotify said, "Look, hey, we're gonna put a banner up there, we'll do that," But that wasn't enough for them, because the bottom line, understand, remember, is they want Joe Rogan off the airwaves. They don't want him to have a platform. And why? Because he pulls in more viewership than your mainstream media. And they cannot have that.
And it's organic.
Yes, they cannot.
So people want to watch it.
They cannot have anyone that they perceive being more powerful or influential than them. That they can't have it. So what happens? So I don't know if somebody went out and cracked open a vault. I don't know if they did some sort of voodoo ritual shit. I don't know. But this crusty old bastard comes up and decides, hey, listen, Spotify, if you do not remove Joe Rogan off of your platform because he's putting out misinformation about vaccines, you can pull my catalog from your platform. And Spotify said, well, call us fucking Leonard Skinnard, because we don't need you anyhow. Leonard Skinnard had had Neil Young's shit pegged back in the 70s. Okay. And here's the thing. People say, Neil Young? Most people that are I'm going to say probably in their 30s and below, probably really don't know who Neil Young even is. The ones who would know who Neil Young, who would want to be listening to his music, who would enjoy his, quote, catalog of music, are people who probably don't even know how to operate Spotify to begin with, right?
Or annoying hipsters who are like, yeah, I listen to Bob Dylan and Neil Young.
Oh yeah, the pretentious
the coffee shop goers that go to open
exactly. So Neil Young comes out and says, hey, take my shit off, and so Spotify says, bet, bitch, bye, and that was the end of it. So Neil Young.
Let's be real though. The CEO is the one that's really holding the line there. I mean, the entire employee base wants fucking all of this shit like gone. Like they want Rogan gone. They want to capitulate to the mob, but it's the CEO that's really like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Now, okay, so that happened when Neil Young. That happened on January. I'm going to refer my notes here. Neil Young calling for his shit to remove from Spotify, and it was initiated in around January 24th of this year. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So we have some celebrity, old celebrity, fossilized celebrity, but we still have a little bit of celebrity that is starting to do something, right?
Yeah, and then they released that article saying Spotify loses billions of dollars in revenue.
Sure.
No, they did not.
Okay. So then here's where it gets really interesting, folks. Okay. Then on January the 26th, this asshole, this is the U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, okay, he says that social media platforms have still not stepped up in tackling misinformation. People have the right to make their own decisions, but they also have the right to have accurate information to make that decision, okay?
They do, asshole. By the way, spreading misinformation is not a fucking crime in the U.S. yet.
Well, here's the thing, though, right?
Okay.
You have doctors that are every bit as qualified as the talking heads that are out there saying, like the Dr. Fauci's and those that are making these statements publicly about X, Y, and Z. And understand something. I'm not saying that what Dr. Fauci or either other talking heads are saying is not accurate or appropriate information. I'm not saying that.
I'll say it. I say they're outright lying all the time to fuel a narrative to keep Americans fucking complacent and to give up their rights and freedoms. That's absolutely true. I'll say it. I don't fucking care.
Okay. So here's why I will not say that. I am not a doctor. I am not licensed to give medical advice. Right? What I will say is this. I believe that as long as you allow people to have an open, honest discourse, that I believe that the American people are intelligent enough to listen to both sides to be presented and make a decision that they feel is best for them.
I think you're horribly wrong. I
Okay.
think most people
All
just choose the comfortable narrative instead of dealing with reality.
Okay. Listen.
And that's why we're in the situation we're in. No, seriously, it's kind of an important point to make.
Okay,
it ties
fine.
up the show.
Okay, listen. I'm not going to argue that they don't take the easy route. Okay? You're 100% correct. People will always take, it's like electricity. Electricity takes the least path of
I thought that was
resistance.
water.
No, electricity takes the least path of resistance, right? So it'll go wherever, and I know because I have a degree in electrical engineering. Okay,
Oh,
so
excuse me.
I'm just telling you that is a fact. Okay, however, they make the choice based upon what they feel is best for them. It may be the easiest path, but they still have the ability to make the choice. That's all I'm saying. Okay?
Yeah, and that's the point I was trying to really nail home, is that this guy's saying people should have the right to access to, correct information. It's like they do have the access. You don't get to control the flow of information. They have access to all the information. There's a correct path, and there's all these other, misinformation or conspiracy theories and all this other stuff. Those things get to exist as a function of free speech on the internet. You don't get to remove speech you don't agree with because you have a narrative built,
And we'll come back around to that whole the free speech aspect of it, because I do want to.
That's what he's trying to do.
I do want to get into that, right? I do want to get into that, but let's listen. No. Let's listen to what the Attorney General, or I'm sorry, not the Attorney General. This is the U.S. Surgeon General. I'm sorry.
So people have the right to make their own decisions, but they also have the right to have accurate information to make that decision with. I know when it comes to how we root out the misinformation in society right now and give people access to accurate information, we've got to do several things. Number one, we've got to recognize that our technology platforms, particularly social media, these have an important role to play. These are the predominant places where we're seeing misinformation spread. These platforms have still not stepped up to do the right thing and do enough, I should say, to reduce the spread of misinformation. But each of us also...
Okay. So...
Fucking fascist.
So he says that technology is not doing enough. Right?
But do you hear like the dog whistling to the authoritarians and that? I mean, I swear to God, it's not. It could be more blatant. It's like we're going to control the speech that you can. We're going to control the platform so you can have. There's no more freedom. The internet's not free anymore. It's too much of a dangerous hazard for you to handle. And honestly, in some sense, he is right. Like, because that's a huge problem we don't have an answer for. If you want a good video that explains that problem, the problem of the decentralization of knowledge and the accreditation to access to knowledge. And so now we're in a level playing field where knowledge used to be controlled and gatekept by institutions of higher learning. The internet did an amazing thing where they took books, information, everything, and made it free access to everyone who has an internet connection. Now, the problem that comes with that is you lose the accreditation by a authority figure on knowledge and narratives in public. So in the day, it wasn't as hard to craft a public narrative because there wasn't that many channels for opinions or thoughts. And honestly, he is right about that, but the thing I'm saying is the answer is not authoritarianism and going back to centralized knowledge structures. You have people like the church, burning books and shit because they're afraid of different opinions. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So, just kind of a brief little recap here. So Neil Young calls for his stuff removed based upon, quote, Joe Rogan's misinformation from Spotify. That was on January 24th. On January 26th, the Surgeon General calls for social media to do more than what they've done. Okay. So, then on January the 20th, hang on here.
Oh, I didn't give the video. 1 second. The video that I was saying is a good companion piece to that argument in particular is Matt Derat. His channel is MattDerrat. And it's the most profound moment in gaming history. It's his number one video. It's a good expose on that problem.
Okay. So then on January 28th, Joni Mitchell joins Neil Young and calls for Spotify to remove her catalog. Crosby, Stills, and Nash
my God.
joins up with Neal Young and says, "Hey, that was on February the 2nd." Says, "Hey, pull our stuff from the catalog as well." Now,
Ancient.
something that you guys should maybe be aware of if you're not is all of these guys are part of an old it was a genre called the folk music movement. This was in the 60s. This is the whole Haight Ashbury, the
Illuminati.
Woodstock, the whole peace love movement, right? This is where these artists gain their notoriety and their following from, right? So it's the old quote hippies of the 60s. Okay.
No, Woodstock shit.
So finally, Spotify on January the 30th, Spotify decides to, hey, we're going to put a warning label on content with any COVID-19 misinformation, whatever. They're going to put a warning on everything, right? And so basically, Spotify capitulates, bends the knee, and says, "Hey, we're going to do that," right? Okay. So there's the first little drop of blood that entered into the water, right? That was the first little thing that they kind of finally had gotten a little bit of a
sharks miles away or moving their heads.
Well, yeah, they finally kind of got a little bit of a, I guess what you would call a win against the Joe Rogan Experience, right? Because they've gotten Spotify, like I say, to capitulate. All right. So then on, when was this? Okay, on February the 1st, the press secretary for the President of the United States, Jen Psaki, was in the press conference anyway. She was asked a question, and so here's the question and her response.
The Surgeon General also was asked on MSNBC about Joe Rogan's vaccine comments on Spotify, and he said that tech companies have an important role to play in stopping misinformation because they are the predominant places where misinformation spreads. Does the White House and the administration think this is a satisfactory step?
Our hope is that all major tech platforms and all major news sources, for that matter, be responsible and be vigilant to ensure the American people have access to accurate information on something as significant as COVID-19. That certainly includes Spotify. So this disclaimer, it's a positive step, but we want every platform to continue doing more to call out mis and disinformation while also uplifting accurate information. It's a positive step, but there's more that can be done.
Dog whistling to the authoritarians.
Okay. So
I'd love to see it.
Okay. So while they're happy that they put a warning, it's not enough. It will never be enough. It will never, ever be enough. The only way that they will ever be happy.
Happy's the wrong way.
Oh,
Their
okay.
bloodlust will be satiated.
Well, so here's the problem.
Until your neck's under the guillotine, is that when they'll be happy?
So here's the problem, guys.
Okay.
I won't put this because a lot of people don't understand the significance of what was said there. A lot of people, that's just the press secretary. No. When the press secretary is having a press conference and they're speaking, they are the voice of the President of the United States. And it doesn't matter if it's when President Biden was in office. It doesn't matter if it was Sarah Huckabee when President Trump was in office. It doesn't matter if it was George Stephanopoulos when President Clinton was in office. Okay, when those press secretaries are speaking, they are voicing the opinions and the views. They're presenting the talking points that president has instructed them to say. That is.
I thought Trump's press secretary was McEnany.
Before McEnany, it was Sarah.
Oh, okay. He had two. My bad.
Okay. So my point is whoever the press secretary is, they're speaking for the president. So essentially, the president of the United States is calling for censorship. Okay. There's no other way to put it.
I want to address Death Chicken's comments real quick. He says, Death Chicken writes, I feel like in today's age, you really have to focus on convincing people of the right path, which the authorities that be are blundering at, though I don't know how they could win trust back easily. I wouldn't even say that many people were convinced by the other people Rogan have had on as much as they immediately accepted narratives that oppose the mainstream one. Yeah, they've lost the trust because people are, in this day and age, so fed up with they've become not only lazy at their sleight of hand when it comes to crafting a narrative, they've outright, in this weird, boastful and what would you say, narcissistic way, this like a villain, just not even care. They're flaunting the fact that they're lying straight to your face. And so now it's not even a matter of like trying to even, conceal the narrative in some white lie or some hard to see, misrepresentation. Now it's just blatantly lying to the public. And people are rightfully distrustful of the corporate media. So I agree in some sense. They'll just move on to the next person after Rogan is beheaded a la the French Revolution. Metaphorically speaking, yeah, sure. I don't know we're there yet, but we certainly aren't very far off. Maybe by like 20 years,
Okay. Well, so the whole thing is so far in this attack has been, they went after Joe Rogan because he, quote, he is putting forth propaganda or misinformation based upon COVID-19. They got Spotify to capitulate, to bend the knee a little bit and say, okay, we'll put a warning banner. All right. So let's look at some things about how other misinformation has been put out there, right? And how we're not calling for capitulation on their part. We're not calling for, their removal or their censorship, right? The first example I want to give you, this comes from a press conference. This is President Biden, and this comes from a press conference that he was holding. This was from May 13th of 2021. Just listen to what President Biden has to say.
Now, I want to be clear about what the CDC is saying and what the CDC is not saying. The CDC is saying they have concluded that fully vaccinated people are at a very, very low risk of getting COVID-19. Therefore, if you've been fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask. Let me repeat, if you are fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask.
That's weird.
Now let's fast forward just a little bit.
It's like a week later, right?
To let's see here.
Because they immediately went back on that shit. They were like, oh,
is okay. So the first one was from May 13th of 2021, and then we come to, this is from January 13th of 2022.
All right, let's hear it.
I'm
riding with
Biden.
Biden.
The most important thing we're doing, but they're not the only important thing. First, masking. Masking is an important tool to control the spread of COVID-19. And when you're indoors in public places, you should wear the mask. And there are a lot, lots of different kinds of masks out there. And the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, says that wearing a well-fitting mask of any of them is certainly better than not wearing a mask if it's well-fitting. What if over your nose?
Okay. So
wow, there's a Scream mask. You can wear the Michael Myers mask. You can wear all sorts of masks. You can go to Party City and get a bunch from there. That's what my super medical advisor is telling me.
So, CDC says, hey, we don't have to wear a mask if you're fully vaccinated. CDC says, oh, hey, you need to wear a mask. Doesn't matter your vaccination status. You need to wear a mask. It needs to be a good fitting. So which one is it? My point to say is this, is that They don't know. They make
needless to say, whenever fucking Fauci went on the fucking horn to the entire American public and said masks are not effective.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that they're making educated guesses. They don't know.
No, they're lying. They're lying.
Okay.
That's the.
I'm not going to say that they're lying. All I'm going to say is they're making educated guess.
Well, I mean, Riveter, when they come out and say so whenever Fauci came out in the beginning of the pandemic, said masks are not effective, and then said don't buy masks, and then later, after it was all said and done, said no, the only reason we said masks weren't effective is to prevent the public from hoarding equipment or buying supplies needed by first responders. Okay, so you lied to the public.
Again, I'm not going to sit here and say that they're lying. All I'm going to say is that they don't know. There's no 100% certainty. They keep changing, right? Because different data becomes available to them, right? So my question is this.
Yeah, so, whenever it's convenient for the narrative, they say, oh, we have this new information.
Okay, so what I'm saying is if the data for them is changing, fine, fair, whatever, I'm not going to argue that point with anybody. What I'm going to say is it possible that they're not including this other data, that these other opinions, that these other doctors have to say as well? That's all I'm saying. That's my only point is there's a lot of highly educated people, far more educated than me, that are doctors, that are virus experts, that are immunologist experts, that have years and years and decades of experience in dealing with this stuff, that do not necessarily agree with everything that is being put forth by the CDC and Dr. Fauci. And Joe Rogan,
then we should strip them of their license.
And Joe Rogan was just trying to give them a platform. And for that, he was called and labeled as misinformation. All right, fine. Then let's point at this other, say, well, you said this over here, and now you're saying that. So which one's the misinformation? Because they're in direct contrast with each other. They're in direct contrast. So somewhere there was misinformation. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to point out there is hypocrisy being, whatever. Anyway, so this next segment that we're going to get into, this is where
the hypocrisy is due to a lie, is what I'm saying.
Okay,
it's a blatant lie,
and that's fine. I'm not going there.
You're not saying that. No, I'm saying it. Let me make that clear, so you don't have to keep saying that. I'm saying that.
This next segment is where we're going to. So the bottom line was that wasn't enough. That did not get him removed. That didn't get him shut up. And so, but it did give them a little drop of blood in the water because they did capitulate. They did decide to they did agree to put the warning banner. Okay, fine. But you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. That's just how these people work. Okay, so then. So now they did a little jab. They did a little punch, a little jab. They got a little jab in the nose there. So they got a little trickle of blood going. So now we're going to start working on the body. Now we're going to start coming at him from the body. So what happens was I don't know what the hell. It's a Twitter account called the Patriot Takes. Put together this montage of Joe Rogan clips that went viral on Twitter. At this point in time, has been viewed over 1.8 million times. Now, I'm going to play the clip. We have to for context. I'm going to warn you, there's going to be words in here that some could deem offensive. If you do not want to hear racially charged words at this point in time in the podcast, you guys need to turn off. You need to go somewhere else. Okay, I don't want you coming at me in the comments. I don't want you coming at me in Twitter or anything else saying I got triggered, because you're warned. I'm warning you. Turn the shit off right now, because I don't want to hear it, because I just don't want to. I've dealt with enough idiots. this past week on Twitter, and I'm just not in the mood to deal with it anymore right now. So let's just get into it. Hell, there's no other way to do this. So this is the tweet. This is the guy that put this out, and it's patriotic takes. And so here's 20. It's 20 seconds. So just anyway, here we go.
You know,
the nigger thing.
Yes.
Saying the word nigger.
Well, you've already said nigger.
D is just like nigger. Saying nigger.
She's calling you a nigger. It's like this
Boy, that he's a nigger, but starts calling them niggers. Word nigger. There should be a word like nigger, especially like the word nigger. That's our nigger. About niggers. He says nigger. Guy, a nigger. And there are niggers. Start saying nigger. Allowed to use the word nigger. Out the word nigger. See nigger or nigger. Say nigger, and he couldn't say nigger. And most nigger. Nigger.
you know.
Okay.
God damn.
So over 11 years, Joe Rogan has said that word a few times.
Hello,
okay. So.
Well, were all those clips him using it in a contextual manner?
Well, we're fixing to get into that because Joe Rogan took to Instagram. Now, while part of his video that he put on here on Instagram is okay, some of it I'll say he probably should have just stopped and not went any further with, because he explains, but then he starts bending the knee. Okay, and that's where the problem it goes. And it's like Banana said the other evening when we were having a conversation. You know, recently Joe had what is that guy? He's from Canada. We did a podcast on him.
Oh, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson on there. And what did you say about that? In reference to Joe? We were talking about this last night. What did you say? That Joe paid no attention to what Mr. Peterson said, right?
Oh, yeah. I said out of all the people that have had Jordan Peterson on their cast, you think Joe, who's had him on like 6 times, would have paid attention to what the fuck Peterson is saying? And whenever you're faced against the onslaught of the mob, the one thing you don't do is capitulate to their demands, because then you're admitting you have hatred in your heart, and that when you said those things that you are being a hateful person. And it's like, if you had no hate in your heart at the time, you don't need to apologize for the language you used, because it wasn't hateful. You were just expressing your ideas in a free and possibly constructive, could be, who cares what it could be. If it's not hateful, you should be able to have a free discussion. I mean, even if it is hateful, you should have a free discussion. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't be apologizing to the fucking public or a mob that's trying to take you apart, specifically because you said some things in the past that just don't hold up to today's standards.
Okay. So Joe went on Instagram, and he's got a 5 minute and 46 second. Now, we're not watching 5 minutes, 46 seconds of Joe talking about this situation. We're going to watch just the first little bit of it, which is where he probably should have stopped and that been the end of it, but he didn't. So anyway, here's what Joe had to say.
Hello, friends. I'm making this video to talk about the most regretful and shameful thing that I've ever had to talk about publicly. There's a video that's out that's a compilation of me saying the N-word. It's a video that's made of clips taken out of context of me of 12 years of conversations on my podcast, and it's all smushed together, and it looks fucking horrible, even to me. Now, I know that to most people, there's no context where a white person is ever allowed to say that word, never mind publicly on a podcast. And I agree with that now. I haven't said it in years, but for a long time, when I would bring that word up, like if it would come up in conversation, instead of saying the N-word, I would just say the word. I thought as long as it was in context, people would understand what I was doing. Like that context was part of the clip we were talking about Red Fox, how Red Fox said that word on television in the 1970s, and how times have changed so much since then. Or about how Richard Pryor used it as one of the titles of one of his albums. Or I was quoting a Lenny Bruce bit, or I was
okay. And he goes on to talk about other people that use the word. And you're right. You're exactly right, Dead Chicken. He says, I agree with that now. You're 100% right. If he would have just stopped, and this statement of there is no There's no, what's the exact words did he say? There's no circumstance.
Context.
Yeah,
No
there's no
context.
circumstances where a white person can use that type of language and it's acceptable. Okay. My personal feelings on this is real simple. That is a word that should, okay. And this goes back, and that's why I selected the cold opening with iDubbbz like I did. Words are words, and either they're good or they're bad. Okay? And what I mean by that is this, and I think this is what iDubbbz was trying to point out. You can't sit there and say, okay, it's okay for this one demographic to be able to use certain phrases, it's acceptable, but other demographics cannot do that. And it's not there's no argument that ever can be placed to me that will validate in any way, oh, it's a power dynamic. Oh, it's because there's a level of oppression or this, and we're trying. No, either the word is good or the word is bad. Period. If the word is bad and this demographic can't say it, then nobody should be saying it. Period. Right? That goes for any of them.
Otherwise, there's an imbalance of power, ironically enough.
Okay. As I was having a conversation,
you see it
sure.
Like Jordan says, you're seeing linguistic territory over to a privileged class. It's like, but even then, they're like, oh, what are you trying to justify saying the N-word? It's like, no, I didn't say that because I know that's criticism going to be levied. What I'm saying is if you're going to start outlawing words, then it needs to be uniform. Or like that's what you're saying, Riveter, is that it has to be across the board. It can't just be like, okay, so one specific group of people have no banned words, yet everyone else has banned words. And
exactly.
It's like, no, we're just going to ban the whole word. We'll just retire the word. How about that? To make it a non-issue.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's my whole point. So, we can't say words. If any word that you're going to use that is going to in any way demean a person because of their ethnicity is a word that should not be used. It's that simple. And it doesn't matter the ethnicity of the person that's saying the word. How
It's
about
a hateful piece of shit?
How about this? Let's just treat everybody as human beings, right?
Yeah. Stop dehumanizing everyone.
So, anyway, so that
women
comes
are
out.
People
That
are
comes
property.
out. Yeah, that comes out. The little montage of Joe Rogan saying the word, and then all of a sudden, it goes viral, right? So what happens? Okay, well, here's what happens. Spotify says they pulled more than 100 videos or episodes of Joe Rogan's podcast. Like that, gone. Okay, it's gone. They're gone off of the platform because there's too much pressure. There's too much heat now coming down.
Those ones are specifically ones where he said the N-word, or
it does. It does not specify. But I would assume that's probably was in context to that. Yes. So
because I want to expound upon that just a little bit before we continue.
Yeah.
I understand where Joe's coming from because he's trying to be empathetic and he's trying to be a good person and listen to his not only his audience but the world's reaction, because he has a huge responsibility of being the number one broadcaster on the planet.
Sure.
But I just at some point, your empathy is inappropriate because as Death Chicken says in his comment here, as long as it was in that context, people understand what they want to hear. When they I have to pull this up to me. I'm sorry, my eyesight's shit. When they hear the word fully uttered, they don't want to understand. They want to be angry. They want an excuse to destroy somebody. And there are some people that are like that, and those are the people that are the kind of Marxist sociopaths that Jordan talks about. The people that they try to up in the system because it's working in their favor as a result of hatred for the upper class or for people who are successful. Not really the upper class, just the successful or competent in life. So that is definitely a truism of these woke mobs.
Yeah. So, and here's the thing: if we're going to go after Joe Rogan's podcast,
well, they tried to, for fuck's sake, they tried to take Dave Chappelle down. And it's still wild to me.
And they still are. Okay, they still are.
It's insane to me. The white people are trying to cancel Dave Chappelle, and yet they're like BLM in their status. It's like,
so
there's a cognitive dissonance here that I'm not really understanding. Can you help me?
Yeah,
white lady wants to cancel black man.
Yeah. So here's
BLM in her status.
Okay. So here's my solution.
The final solution.
I have a solution. I 100% have a solution.
Yeah.
Since that word is basically a nuclear bomb, since that word is so toxic, since that word is so condemning, right?
It has radioactive half-lives, dude.
Anyone who has ever uttered the word should be canceled, right? Then okay, fine. If that's what we're going for, is anybody who's ever uttered those words, then we have to cancel them, right? And if that's the stance we're going to take today, if this is the hill we're going to die on, right? Then okay. Then here's what we're going to do. Then next, we're going to go after the Young Turks.
I apologize. I know these are like difficult words to hear, but words like nigger and fag. Nigger. You niggers are why I lost my job. He only shot a nigger. Run, nigger, run.
Nigger. Oh, Jesus.
Nigger this or nigger that. Okay, so they're like, all right. You cover that Jerry Rice looking nigger.
Whatever, niggerhead.
Nigger. Nigger Lake.
He canceled his weekend at Niggerhead Ranch.
His ranch was called Niggerhead. Fucking Jews and niggers.
Nigger lover on it.
Which is better, nigger or cracker?
It was apparently called Niggerhead.
Oh, you're a nigger?
Doing fucking nothing and being a lazy nigger.
They were nigger lovers.
It don't give a nigger time to learn his lesson.
White crackers.
Yeah.
Does that mean now we can say black niggers?
There will never be a nigger.
I apologize. I know.
So we're going to cancel the Young Turks. They're next.
Okay.
But we're not going to stop there, guys. Oh,
no,
I'm just fucking getting started here. Next, we're going to go after our beloved president, Joe Biden.
Staff memo, they brought to your attention the allegation that important legislators in defeating the Nunes plan in the basement said, quote, "We already have a nigger mayor. We don't need any more nigger big shots."
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so, all right.
I need to clean my ears out with peroxide after this.
If we're going to cancel people for saying the word, which, okay, you've convinced me. Let's cancel people. Get Joe Rogan the fuck out of here because he said and used the word. Context doesn't matter, remember, okay? Because
no, it doesn't.
Context doesn't matter because there's no circumstances, under any circumstances, that a person who is not black can use that word.
They cannot.
Period. That is the context, right? That is the rule. That is the new rule. That there's never ever I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but I'm a little bit fucking wound up here today, okay? Because I'm so fucking tired of these fucking police, these grammar Nazis, these speech.
Remove the grammar part. They're just Nazis.
I'm so fucking tired of them. Okay, but we're not done. Okay, so Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Oh no, not The Rock.
He comes out and he says, "Listen, I believe that basically he listens to Joe Rogan's apology, and he says, okay, listen." I believe he can go from here. He can grow. He can move on from here. Whatever, right? He says, that's what he. Oh shit! I bet you I don't have that damn text. Let me see here.
I
want to make sure. Hang on a second.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. Well. Okay. So anyway, I'm having to. From memory, and God knows, anyone that knows me, my memory is shit. But anyway, these days. But anyway, he essentially says, hey, let's give the guy a break. And then there was some people came after him and said, hey, yeah, but did you see him saying this over here? And The Rock says, "Oh, I didn't know he used the N word."
He said this great stuff here, brother. Perfectly articulated. Looking forward to coming on one day and breaking out the tequila with you. Yeah. In response to Joe's apology on his, podcast stuff.
Yeah, and so then these people come out and they tag under The Rock's tweet, and they say, they pelt him with this montage of him, and he's, "Oh, I didn't know that.
Don't you know he's a racist?
Thank you for Thank you for bringing it to my attention." But then guess what happens?
What happened?
Well, then we go looking at now we got to cancel The Rock. Why? Because Katie here says, "I used to be #team bring it until I realized that at The Rock is a douchebag." What's Dwayne say to that? Katie, shh, don't be angry, Miss Katie. It's not our fault you're turning tranny tricks to put yourself through nursing school. Shh. Well,
you had to
hell.
think about it for a second there, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, because this is offensive shit.
Yeah. Well.
Okay. And it bothers me in the context of I don't use the word. I don't think this is words that should be used. I don't think that these are words. I don't any word that is
fight for your right to use them.
Yes, 100%. They have 100% have the right to use it. I personally
Unfortunately, that's a facet of free speech that just really can't be gotten rid of. Otherwise, the whole thing just falls apart.
100%.
It's like if it's gonna die, if we're gonna have to die on that hill, I guess so. Because honestly, the free speech is that important. So
yeah. But we can't stop there. No, Rock. How about this one? How about this little promo that you cut on John Cena?
Like a bloated transvestite Wonder Woman.
Leftist audio.
Like a.
Yeah, and if that wasn't enough, right?
What to say about that? Taiwan is not a nation. I apologize.
Okay, so we have examples there, not only of The Rock being racist towards Norwegians, racist towards Chinese, but he's definitely transphobic. Okay, so I'm sorry.
Xenophobic. He's transphobic. He's racist.
Sorry, Rock. Your fucking Disney career is over with. Sorry, you're out of here. No more Fast and Furious for your ass. Hit the road, Jack.
Losing it.
Okay, so now we've got one last one we got to cancel. And this one is going to be quite painful.
Because, oh no, I can't have my video on this.
Because this one here is a hero to a friend of mine, and
mine too.
Yeah, he touts how this man was inspirational and for him doing what he does today, and all that, and that would be Mr. Howard Stern.
This one's bad.
Buckle up. This one's really bad, guys. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but this was a little montage that was put together by Lofty Pixels.
Here we go.
You were shocked, John. You used the N-word a lot. You said
I didn't. I used the N-word.
Yeah, you did.
Wait a second. Hold on before you say that. Whoopi, hold on.
Wait.
N-word.
Yeah, you did.
Get that right, you smelly nigga.
I didn't write that.
Well, you is a smelly nigga. Oonga boonga.
So Gary the retard dial a date. Everybody loves Gary the retard.
There is no such thing as genetic homosexuality, but I am telling you homosexuality is fixable.
And occasionally, out of old habit, I'll use the word fag or that's so faggy or something, but...
I really care about Howard. Like, I really think he's like a voice for important causes.
Hey, Robin, what does you call a black rocket scientist?
I don't know.
A nigga.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So here's the thing, guys. We have our next ones lined up. We've got to cancel the Young Turks. We have to cancel President Biden. We have to cancel The Rock. And we have to cancel Howard Stern. Okay? It's just that plain and simple. We got to cancel them. They're out of here. Now, I don't...
Holy shit. Can you believe that shit was on TV? I mean, like, now, with the climate we're in now. Back in the day. I don't know. Maybe I'm too young, but because I'm too steeped in the current woke culture. But good God, it's just insane to me to think that was on TV.
Well, it was, and you know, there's lots more. There's Ted Danson we could go after.
Oh, there's way more. There's
Jimmy so many
Kimmel.
more. There's Jimmy Kimmel. There's so many more that we could go after, right?
Will Ferrell probably, you know.
Now here's one thing that Banana brought up earlier that I want to come circle back around to, and I want to expand on it a little bit. He talked about freedom of speech. All right. So here in the States, we do have this little thing called the First Amendment, which ensures that we have the right to freedom of speech. Now, people get up in arms because people that tend to be more right-leaning get silenced on platforms like Twitter or Facebook or YouTube or whatever the medium is. And they call it censorship, and they call it this and they call it that. So the answer or the question is that really censorship? Banana, do you think that's censorship?
Okay. It's literally censorship, but in the context of a First Amendment issue, private companies are allowed to censor who they want based off of an agreement with their employees. I don't know, but if it's a public platform and you're being censored, then that's a First Amendment issue. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So like the technicalities, like, dude, honestly, I don't know, but it does seem like a huge issue that these things that are used as public platforms, they're not. They're private companies, private entities, but you really shouldn't be censoring anyone from doing anything.
Okay.
Speech-wise.
All right. And
unless obviously it falls under the law of, like, you know.
Okay. So
here's
you're correct. Things like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, they're private entities. And so therefore they have the right to basically show anybody the front door that they choose to do. And is that in fact stifling free speech? And the answer is no, it's not. What it is, and I know this is, may not necessarily set well with some people, but what it's going to force and has to happen is this, and it is already starting. There's already people out there that have started other companies. Some of them are doing, some of them are just, okay. And these other companies that
you're
have
talking about like Gab or whatever.
Gab, Parler, hell, Storyfire.
Yeah, that's a free market solution.
Storyfire,
yeah, more competition.
Okay, I mean, there's lots of
Storyfire is a shit show.
There's lots of other. The problem is you've got to have a deal where it's going to be market driven, right? And this is a problem that like with Storyfire, because Storyfire was started by Jesse under the context of stuff and the videos that he wanted to make, he couldn't make on YouTube because YouTube wouldn't allow it, because it was not deemed appropriate content. So he said, I'm going to start up Storyfire. He sunk over $3 million of his own money into this company, to where you supposedly could come over there and make content that was going to be free of that type of censorship. But here's the problem. It takes a lot of damn money to run a thing like that. And the problem was that Jesse, here's where he screwed up. He made it free. He did not make it subscriber based. And when you're starting up a company like that, you cannot offer that shit for free. You cannot.
Yeah, you're hosting like thousands of videos and content.
Exactly. The cost on the back end for hosting, bandwidth, the whole kit and caboodle is astronomical in your price.
Which is why I think Patreon is the #1 competitor for that, because they make a shit ton of money off of their premium subscription.
I understand that, but you still have to have some place to host your videos. Patreon doesn't host the videos.
Yeah, but the workaround with that is they have the what's it called? Oh shit, what's that video platform everyone uses that's
Vimeo?
not YouTube?
Vimeo?
No, not well. Yeah, Vimeo is one of them, but this other one that's like a blue.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
I can't remember. Anyway, it's like a paste bin type thing where it's basically there's no moderation whatsoever. It's just raw video and whatever flies.
Okay, so here's what I will say, right? If it gets to the point to where Spotify terminates their deal, whatever, with Joe Rogan, fine. Joe Rogan's still going to get that $100 million contract deal, I'm sure, right? I'm sure I'm sure he had lawyers that wrote in to protect his ass on that. He needs to take that money,
start his own broadcast,
and start his own. He needs to start his own platform, to where it's a subscriber-based platform, right? And have it to where, and hell, he wouldn't have to charge astronomical money because of his base, right? He has a huge base. When his podcasts are getting over 11 million views per podcast.
More than that.
You know, so if you charged everybody, hell, $5 a year of that, right? If you charge just $5 a year annual fee, you know, to access it, he's going to make his money so fast. It's not even going to be funny. And have his, and he's going to have to hire some people.
Well, I mean, listen,
to run us back in shit. So,
not for nothing. Look at Cumtown. It's the most popular podcast on Patreon.
Yeah,
they say some of the most outlandish, shock jock, intolerant shit in the name of comedy.
Yeah.
And they're the most successful podcast on Patreon, and they rake in like 50, 60K a month.
Okay. Good for them. Awesome.
No, but I'm saying like they offer like $5 subscriptions. They have audience space, stuff like that, you know.
And that's what I'm saying though, but that's what I'm saying is good for them. I didn't mean that sarcastically. I'm saying that's awesome. Okay. That's exactly what good example, idiot. No. And that's what here's the thing, that's what needs to happen though.
Yeah.
These voices like Joe and others simply need to go to, and maybe it's a deal where they kind of have to band together. And I don't like that, because understand something, because then
well, no, they tried to do that. It was the intellectual dark web, and they got labeled as alt-right people, and which was a lie. So the problem with like banding together and creating a group is that you're immediately cast into the alt-right place, and then everyone, their brother's like, well, I don't want to be associated with that, so we'll stay away.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, I'm a fan of the intellectual dark web. Oh, I heard they were neo-Nazis. Oh, great. So everyone thinks I'm fucking, some kind of bad actor in society.
Well,
cool.
They
make it uncool.
The other problem that is with this is when you have this group over here that gathers together, and they say, we're not going to allow this type of language, we're not going to allow this type of speech or whatever, then they form their echo chamber. And then you have on this side over here where they say, this is what we believe and whatever. And so they get their echo chamber. And the problem is then people who reside kind of in the middle, they're like, what do we do? Right? Because we don't agree with everything over here. We don't agree with everything over here. Where do we reside? Right? Because I don't want to go here. You don't.
You unplug. You get banned off Twitter by saying a bunch of no words.
Yeah.
It's funny. Go back and listen. If you can find it, I don't know if it's deleted. Go back and listen to for the audience, here's a homework assignment, because it'll blow your fucking mind. Go back with today's context and listen to the Joe Rogan episode with Jack Dorsey in his trust and safety. They're not called trust and safety. His moderation team leader manager. Listen to that conversation and listen to it in real time as Jack Dorsey says, we don't want an echo chamber. We want a place where all ideas can exist and they can have equal space on the platform. And then listen to his CFO of like moderation go, actually, we're trying to prevent the spread of misinformation. It's great. Go back and listen to it. It's gonna blow your mind, because everything was there right in our faces. I guess we just didn't see today's context coming. We naively thought this would never happen. So,
all right. So I don't really have anything else to say. I think that this is a huge blow against.
I have something to say. Don't capitulate to the mob.
Yeah.
Because they're going to eat you alive.
If you guys have anything that you want to say, contrast to what Banana and I are saying, whatever. If there's something you think we've missed, you think there's something we're not
too heavy-handed on,
whatever. Get into the waiting room right now, and we'll pull you in. We'll have a conversation with you. and
you're burning, dude. Death Chicken wrote a fucking manifesto in the chat. He could have came into the waiting to call, and we could have pulled him up, and he said all that shit live on air. It's a perfect example of being, strong enough to jump into the VC. Death Chicken knows I'm just fucking with him. But seriously, if you have something to say, come in here. Don't wait for us to read all that shit in the chat. Just shoot the shit.
But I even put it in the screen down there, guys. Call in via Discord. Link is below in the comments. Join the Discord. Get in here and have a conversation with us.
And alternatively, if you're watching not live, you can always put stuff in the comment section right below. So they're crafting a narrative with no dissenting opinion. It's like, no, there's opportunities there for everyone to disagree with us. Yeah. You just haven't capitalized on it. Do so now. We encourage the disagreement, and we'll treat your fucking disagreements with respect and address them. Well, depending on the disagreement, obviously, but some aren't worth respect.
Well, anyway, if nobody's going to hop in, we're going to wrap it up, guys, because I really don't. I think we've said everything that needs to be said on this. Banana.
I mean, the point, the entire overarching thing we're pointing out is, okay, so these people are trying to get somebody banned for doing something they have done themselves in the past. It's like, why? Why are they being hypocritical? Why is there an asymmetry in behavior here? Why are they trying to control somebody else's behavior when they themselves have been guilty of it in the past? Yeah. And when you start asking those questions to yourself, you say, am I just a fringe tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist? It's like, maybe not everything's a grand design of we're trying to have this giant deep state plot to rid people off of that aren't bending to the government's narrative. It's like, maybe that's not the case, but the case is it's becoming more and more clear that people are just lying about shit. It's like, so if you point out all the inadequacies in one person to vilify them and make them an enemy of the public, it's like, and then you look at the people that were doing that very thing, their behavior is no different. Yeah. So it's like, what are we going to do? Are we going to make everyone outcasts? We're going to make them exiled from the nation and go, hey, you're no longer allowed to do anything ever again. It's like, no, obviously there's some people that can break the rules. Why? Ask yourself the question. Why are there some people that can do the exact same thing but not find themselves exiled? And you'll have your answer. I'm not going to feed it to you. Go find out for yourself. Put it in the comment section.
No, I want you to feed them. Feed them. Feed them. Feed them, Banana. Feed them.
I think I've done enough of that.
Okay.
I want to hear it in the comment section. That's what I want to hear.
All right. So anyway, with that being said, that's going to wrap it up for today. I appreciate all you guys. I appreciate you guys coming in here week in and week out. I appreciate you guys sharing this out on all your different platforms, whatever. We even appreciate the discourse that occurs in our chat. Would love to have a actual voice chat with you guys. I want you to feel free to come in.
Still, our only caller remains Nerdy John T.02, who has the balls to call in and shoot the shit with us. Shout out to that guy. He's called in twice now.
Yeah. And I've caught a few of his streams here lately and watched him, and he's
pretty good.
He's an entertaining streamer. I would encourage you guys to go check him out if you have not. I may actually reach out to John and see if he would like to maybe come on one day in the future, and when we're covering a subject, and put his 2 cents in as well. It could be interesting. So we'll get 2 young whippersnappers to go to war with the old man, I guess. But
there we go.
Anyway. Anyway, listen, I do want to appreciate again, and also Saturday, I want to thank you guys for the recent views and subs. Just like I say, continue to like and subscribe. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed, we would appreciate a subscription if you feel we've warranted it. Hopefully today we have done our best to cover the history where all this started, why it started, and where we are today. Ultimately, I feel like it's going to result in Joe being removed from Spotify because, I've seen people out there saying, Joe doesn't need Spotify. Spotify needs Joe. There's some truth to that statement. However, if the pressure gets enough, if there's enough of decry against Spotify, will do everything it can to try to protect its bottom line.
Oh, and now he's giving them the ammunition to fucking take him out.
100% he has. When Joe made that, and I understand he was probably coming from a position of trying to understand and trying to, and I understand and I get that, but you don't ever, you self-reflect, you talk it over with people that you value their opinions, but you don't go online and say, oh, I see where I made a mistake. I see where I should not, you just don't do that. You don't apologize.
Unless you actually had malice in your heart at the time. You're being a hateful piece of shit.
100%. Yes. If you had malice in your heart, whatever, yeah. But I don't believe Joe had malice in his heart.
No, he's too big of a softie.
And in his own words, he was using it within context of discussing, at the times. I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and watching, the television shows. There were people on there. Archie Bunker was a very famous, that character was a very famous bigot.
Oh God. Yeah. You're talking about beating his wife, joke about beating his wife all the time.
No, he didn't talk about beating his wife. He was racist and he was homophobic. But then he had his counterpart, which was George Jefferson, and he was just as equally racist as Archie Bunker was, except for he was a black man. So they presented both sides of the coin, and there was nothing to turn on Archie Bunker and hear him say some very racist or homophobic things. Then the same thing with Archie, or with shit.
What happened?
Old man brain spasm.
Oh, brain fart.
It was nothing to turn over and see George Jefferson doing the exact same thing. So, but they did that within the context of to show just how stupid that ideologies and how stupid those beliefs were. They were not heralded as, heroes or anything else. They were presented as being buffoons, being idiots. And that's the context that you have to put these things in, right? And so,
even a less dated reference, no offense there, but a more recent reference to that would be like Michael Scott in The Office. I mean, notoriously, he's very bigoted, very unself-aware person who would use language and oftentimes be very, very offensive to his own work staff. But it was always comical because he was such an unself-aware person, and everyone was going, "Look at this guy; he's such an idiot." He wasn't ever praising that kind of behavior. So,
well. Anyway, so on that, we're going to close it up. Guys, listen, in parting.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Yeah, in parting, guys, just be nice to people. Don't be an asshole. It's just that simple.
Yeah. Don't have any hate in your heart for other people based off of what they identify as or who they are or what color their skin is. It's like, don't dehumanize people. But everyone's a person, man. We're all trying to fucking get through life.
Exactly. And anyway, on that, guys, remember, keep your powder dry. And we'll see you in the funny papers.